On the services, we welcome you to this special interview with Honorable Halifa Sallah, the spokesperson of the coalition that has just won the 2016 presidential elections. You all know that on Thursday the Gambians made their choice and elected their president. And today, here this evening, I have with me Honorable Halifa Sallah as the coalition spokesman to shed some light about some of the issues. Because, as you know, a lot of people are now thinking about this coalition, what next for the coalition. But Honorable Halifa Sallah is here with me. Honorable, welcome to this program.
Thank you very much.
Now, it's been 2 days since the election was held and the results have been announced yesterday. Now, the coalition has won this election. But many people will be asking, what next? We've been meeting all day today. What can you tell Gambians?
Well, thank you very much. Many Gambians are wondering why President-elect Barrow is not at the State House. Many felt that Friday, one president will go and another president will be seated. And it is important for people to understand what is actually happening. We had a meeting today to prepare the ground for precisely that change or transfer of power. It is important for everybody to realize that after the declaration of the results, the outgoing president did call the incoming president to congratulate him for the victory and asserted that he has accepted the victory as the verdict of the people, and in his own words, the verdict of God, and had told President-elect Barrow that he is willing to facilitate a smooth transfer of power. Many will question, what does that mean? Well, under our constitutional provision, you have a term of 5 years for a president. But the Constitution requires that an election takes place within 3 months before the expiry of the term of the president, sitting president. And this is why 1st December, election did take place. But the term of the president, 5-year term, has not expired. So it means that we had to engage in consultation with legal practitioners, relying on many competencies to be able to assess when the term of the sitting president will expire. And we have actually agreed today on the constitutional provision, and there is absolutely no doubt that there will be a transition period up to January before the sitting president vacates office. So what has been done so far is to discuss with that sitting president, and the two parties have agreed to establish a mediator, a liaison, as well as to establish teams for this transition.
Okay. You want to say that you have already engaged the outgoing president. Your team has engaged the outgoing president to formalize this process.
Well, the outgoing president engaged the incoming president to indicate that he is now ready for that collaboration so that there will be smooth transfer of power. Which means that before we even take the initiative has been taken from that end, and the agreement is what I'm indicating now. The agreement is that they will set up a team, we will set up a team, and the teams will meet to work out the modalities of this transition. And obviously, what has been emphasized by the outgoing president is that as of Tuesday, well, the incoming president will set the agenda. Whatever he thinks should be done would actually be accommodated by the outgoing president. This is the situation we're in. So we have established a committee of all stakeholders, and the committee met precisely to work out our own agenda, and it has to be a time-bound agenda, establish the priorities of this transfer of power, and we'll be implementing that. So we want the general public to know that it is because of the constitutional provision that the president sits for 5 years, but elections takes place before the expiration of the term of 5 years. Therefore, there is a transitional phase in moving from the latter, from the former to the latter, that is former regime to the current regime.
Okay, so this current president's term, in other words, will end in January? In January, indeed. And then it is then that the power will be transferred to the incoming president?
Well, the new president will be sworn in by next week. We will issue a press release indicating the date when the new president will be sworn in for everybody to know in January.
So right now, who is in charge? The incoming president or the outgoing president?
Well, here constitutionally, the outgoing president serves up to the end of his term. So one would say technically he is in charge, but the incoming president is elected. As you've seen in the United States, this is a similar situation, sort of, where you have an outgoing president, incoming president. So the incoming president now has the duty to form a cabinet, has the duty to engage in consultation, that is, forming a team, transition team that will meet the team of the outgoing president to know all the modalities of governance. Nothing secret will be there anymore. All issues will be discussed with the incoming team, and consequently the incoming team would have known everything about the governance of the country, so that it becomes a smooth transfer of power. That is what is on the ground.
And also there's been a lot of speculation about the coalition itself, especially when it comes to the composition of the government, of the coalition government. Have you also discussed that, and do you have anything to say with the public?
Well, indeed, what is important is that prior to the victory, you had a coalition formed by 8 stakeholders, 7 political parties and 1 independent candidate. And we've tried as much as possible to work as a team, where you have an executive where 2 people represent each stakeholder, and this team forms a central executive coalition executive committee, and they are responsible for guiding the process. So the president has accepted prior to a memorandum of understanding where we agreed that we will have a coalition government. He will lead the team for a period of 3 years, and then we go back to elections of the presidency. This will, of course, require constitutional reform. We've agreed that the fundamental objective of this transition is to build a sovereign, secular, democratic republic. To build a Gambia that is a community of citizens equal in sovereignty, irrespective of ethno-linguistic origin, what people usually call tribe, religion, gender, or other characteristics. Because 46 years ago, the Gambia became a republic, and that's what should have been built. Once you become a republic, then the citizen becomes paramount, because sovereignty resides in the citizen. The citizen becomes the embodiment of the power of the sovereignty of the nation. And that should have been inculcated in our minds 46 years ago in 1970. That also means that citizens recognizes that you are contributing to state resources, which belongs to all. It does not belong to one gender, tribal grouping, ethno-linguistic grouping. It does not belong to one religion. It belongs to all. And that wealth should be utilized in the service of the people. It means that we must build the schools, the hospitals, the roads, bring the electricity, water supply, provide all the facilities, create the type of economy where investors will come, so that you generate employment, where the public sector also will become productive with public cooperation, that will also generate employment. So it is expected that services will be given to the informal sector, to all sectors that contribute to the productive base, the private sector. So in that sense, that is what is expected. There, what is the use of belonging to this group or that group, because an economy does not recognize the origin of the person, and also services should not recognize they are just like GRTS is serving everybody. So it means that anybody could work here, anybody could benefit from it. So we wanted to start the process now. What we failed to do for 46 years is what the coalition aims to do. That by coming together, we forget about the party differences. We focus on the national interest. We forget about the tribals, etc. origins, and focus on creating one Gambia, to be one nation, to be one people. That is the objective of the coalition. So therefore, to answer your question, yes, there will be a coalition government, but what is required in the constitution is that whoever becomes a minister must be somebody with experience and competence to serve that purpose. So it means that the stakeholders, not necessarily Halifa Sallah will be, minister in this government, but somebody will be selected from every group who will participate as a minister, at any level, in running a very efficient, effective, and competent government.
Okay. Now, just to ask, how did you see this election? Because the build-up to the election, what we've seen, there are a lot of tensions. We didn't see that engagement between the political players themselves. But right now, we see that engagement between the coalition government and the other, that is the outgoing government. Now, how did you see the process itself before and now? How it has brought Gambians together?
Well, I think many things were working in the wings that people did not see. For the longest period, the opposition did form a coalition of some sort promoting electoral reform. We ensured that through the auspices of the UNDP, etc., we did have an inter-party committee comprising all the political parties. And for a long period of time, we were engaged in preparing a memorandum of understanding that, in fact, encompasses some of what is happening right now.
Okay.
That is acceptance of credible elections, the results of credible elections. We went to the stage of even signing the memorandum. Of course, it was derailed, and at that time, we even scheduled to hold the signing ceremony at the Kairaba Hotel, and the information we received was that the president, with all his cabinet, would have attended, and he himself was going to sign for the APRC. So I must say that Gambia has really been engaged in peace building to move towards the direction of a national consensus, so that this country will not disintegrate, because it's very small and it has people with competence, people with goodwill, and I believe goodwill has been injected into the process. And as we move towards the elections, the ground was building up for consensus, and there is absolutely no doubt that we went into the elections with that background development. I think it contributed a great deal. We didn't sign the memorandum, but the content of the memorandum was known to all. As far as the coalition was concerned, we were determined to adhere to the provisions in the memorandum, which had a code of conduct, which ensured that we do not encourage our supporters to engage in insults, in fighting. We constantly told them that Gambia belongs to them, the national coffers belongs to them, it comes from them. The drivers are paying $500 in license, ID cards are being purchased by people, passports are being made available at 3,000. So people who are country duties are being paid and added to the prices of commodities, and buying commodities. You are investing in the national coffers. We constantly told them that this is not about insults and fight. What we are looking for is somebody who will manage those coffers to promote our general welfare. We constantly told the people that the president has two responsibilities. One responsibility is to manage the national coffers in order to promote the general welfare. The other dimension is to manage the security forces, the soldiers, the police, the NIA, all security apparatus, to ensure that people live in peace and tranquility. So essentially, we told our supporters that there was no need to engage in fighting, what is necessary is to know that power belongs to you. Your vote is your voice.
That's right.
And it's your authority to determine your manner of government. So all you need is simply to go and cast it. That was our line of action, and we believe that many of our people accepted that. Of course, here and there people will stray. We must know that, but generally that was the principle, and I believe that the other side ultimately had to also accommodate that particular type of principle. And obviously, as we move closer and closer to the election, everybody could see that the environment was peaceful, and the result, obviously, we made sure that we created all the mechanism so that our votes will be protected. We call it the security of the ballot. And the security of the ballot meant that we had to train our polling agents, inject in them a sense of diligence so that they will get to the polling stations on time, make sure that they manage the resources there. And since it's counting on the spot, we really had confidence that this time the results will reflect the undiluted minds of the people, undiluted choice of the people.
Okay, now one last question. Now that the coalition is preparing to take over, will you also reach out to the other opponents, like the APRC and the GDC, would accommodate in the government?
Well, I must say that the GDC had also called the leader of the GDC, the president-elect, to congratulate him. So something unique has happened in this country, where all sides of the political spectrum decided to acknowledge the results, accepted as genuine reflection of the choice of the people, and congratulated the person who won. That is a wealth of goodwill, and that consultation is going to continue. Consultation is broad-based, and once we set up this team, the team will be advising the president-elect on all aspects of governance and collaboration, coordination, whatever, is part and parcel of the governance process. So one cannot actually say this is what is going to happen, because it's the team that will look at all these issues, and your recommendation is good as anybody's recommendation. I think these are the thoughts that should come from the public to show that the type of governance atmosphere should reflect the starting of a new nation, the birth of a new Gambia. This is really what we want. So that as of now, a self-perpetuating rule will disappear, impunity will disappear, a governance environment that will consider the enlightened interests of the people will be the order of the day. There is absolutely no doubt that the president-elect aims to be that type of an individual who will consult, who will take advice from all sectors, from even the APRC leadership, any leadership, because governance is about the people, and they are part of the people. And that is why we want to give strong advice to all those people who supported the coalition, that their duty now is to be ambassadors of the coalition. We want our supporters to be ambassadors of the coalition. We want them, wherever they are, they will reflect the values of the coalition, that we want to build a secular, democratic, sovereign republic where the people belong to a community of citizens who are equal and whose interests we become sensitive to and whose interests we are ready to address. So it means that wherever they are helping others, they are supporting others, they are helping them to become Gambians who value their nation and are ready to support each other to create a new Gambia. So anybody who sees somebody attacking and shouting and insulting and is putting on a coalition t-shirt, well, tell that person that what we've heard from your leaders is that you are not supposed to engage in insult. You are not supposed to attack people. You are not supposed to attack all the tribal groupings. This is one Gambia, a Gambia of citizens, not Gambia of tribes, not Gambia of a particular gender or Gambia of a particular religion. We are a secular state, and of course the declaration of an Islamic state will disappear, and essentially we will respect all religions, and nobody will attack any religion as a pretext of secularism. Secularism means that the rights of everybody will be respected by the state, but by persons. So we must respect each other's rights, and that's what we are going to perpetuate.
All right. Thank you so much, Honorable Halifa Sallah, spokesperson of the coalition.